and that young talent clinches first place tonight. Lewis Hamilton, top of the pile. David Foray unable to be ahead of fifth place.
My car feels really powerful when I'm in it, but imagine being in the Formula 1 car. Must be very powerful.
Oh my goodness me! Hamilton's back in position again, but he is going to claim fifth place, which is all he needs to do to become the 2008 Formula 1 World Champion, Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton is the world champion.
Unbelievable.
But Hamilton, out on his own, a season of hard work is coming to an end because Lewis Hamilton comes around the final corner. It's not Rosberg, it's Lewis Hamilton, champion of the world in 2014. High fives for Lewis Hamilton, a five-time champion of the world. The track, Lewis Hamilton has found his voice, and on it, once again, he's found his groove. And now he finds himself alongside Michael Schumacher as top in the record books. The World Championship record is equalled. Lewis Hamilton wins the Turkish Grand Prix.
Sir Lewis Carl Davidson Hamilton was born on the 7th of January 1985, with his parents Anthony, who immigrated from Grenada, and his mother Carmen from the UK, and they divorced when Lewis was just 2 years old. Lewis lived with his mother until the age of 10, and then moved in with his father and stepmother Linda, who he remained close with both his mother and his stepmother, and credits them both to his upbringing. Unlike some F1 drivers, Lewis's family did not come from a wealthy background, and his dad and manager Anthony worked day and night for years, sometimes supporting 3 different jobs just so that Lewis could pursue a racing career. Lewis's career essentially started when he was just 8 years old, and his father purchased him a second-hand go-kart, which at the time cost almost as much as the family's monthly income. Lewis's talent behind the wheel of a car soon became evident, as the name Hamilton became a fixture in the karting races. Wearing his recognisable yellow helmet his dad Anthony chose for him so he could keep track of Lewis's speedy laps around the track. Before long, at such a young age, Lewis began winning races and championships within karting. Just 2 years later, at the age of 10, Lewis was collecting 2 trophies at the Motorsport Awards ceremony in London. With his second-hand race suit and borrowed shoes, Lewis approached Ron Dennis, who was the current boss of the McLaren F1 team. He confidently approached Ron and said, "Hello, Mr. Dennis, my name is Lewis Hamilton, and one day I'd like to race for your team." He presented Ron with an autograph book where Ron wrote his phone number and a message that simply said, "Call me in 9 years." But Lewis didn't have to wait those 9 years. Just 3 years later, Ron rang the Hamilton household and presented his dad Anthony with an offer. He would financially support Lewis's career as a motorsports driver, with one simple condition: Lewis remains in school and continues to work hard. The worry of the financial side of the sport was no longer a concern. But now Lewis faced another task. He had to continue to prove to McLaren that he was good enough as they believed he was, and he had to meet those massive expectations, and Lewis did just this, winning 8 karting championships in just 6 years, continuing to win 3 major single-seater titles, the most prestigious of these being the GP2 Championship. But it wasn't all the easy victories and endless trophies that prompted the McLaren team to give Lewis a shot in F1. Rather, the determination they saw from him in races where he'd end up at the back of the pack in a race, and his raw skill and determination would land in podiums by the last lap. As he rose to the McLaren F1 team in 2007 alongside teammate and world champion Fernando Alonso, no one doubted he would be prepared to race and give it his best shot in his rookie season as an F1 driver. But no one expected him to fly through the season, outperforming Alonso, cementing himself on the podium several times, winning 4 races and leading the championship for 5 months, only to lose to Ferrari's Kimi Raikkonen. Unfortunately, Lewis's rookie season in 2007 was the only good thing for McLaren, as that year, the team's apparent focus on the rising star left a bitter taste in Fernando Alonso's mouth. This eventually led to his departure to Renault, and along with the feud, McLaren was fined $100 million for the notorious spy scandal, allegedly possessing technical secrets of the Ferrari car, giving them a potential advantage. The 2008 season began, and Lewis began his charge for a world championship, quickly securing 5 wins whilst making a podium in 6 more. However, this didn't go unnoticed by his rival drivers. Claiming Lewis's driving was reckless and dangerous, Lewis did not bow down to the criticism he faced and stated that he drove firm but fair. Lewis's charge for the World Championship went down to the last race in Brazil, where Ferrari's Felipe Massa could bring home the championship at this home race, but only if Lewis finished outside of the top 5. Pushing it down to the last corner with the rain bashing down on the track, Lewis raced arguably one of the most thrilling races in motorsport, overtaking with a mere 300 metres from the finish line to regain 5th place and finish 1st overall, becoming the world's youngest champion at the time at just 23 years old. Following an outburst onto the scene in F1, Lewis struggled to keep his world champion status alive. Although he kept his aggressive driving style, which led him to multiple victories over the years, Lewis couldn't secure the #1 as world champion over the coming years. The McLaren car showed signs of struggle against rival teams. However, Lewis stated that distractions in his private life, such as the breakup with his long-term girlfriend, as the downfall of his performance. But Lewis vowed to regain this and put himself back onto winning form. Fast forward to the 2012 season, saw Lewis's last season with McLaren. Battling hard against prestigious drivers, landed in 4th place in the Drivers' Championship. However, the 2012 season was the last season for racing legend Michael Schumacher, which left the seat open at Mercedes. With a lot to prove and a team competing at the very top level, Lewis jumped into the Mercedes car for the 2013 season, becoming a regular frontrunner and securing several pole positions and podiums. However, Lewis still couldn't reclaim his world championship, finishing 4th in the Drivers' Championship once again. The 2014 season began and F1 saw major changes to their regulations, featuring new hybrid power units with a reduced downforce. These changes made the Mercedes car into a machine that couldn't be stopped, netting Mercedes the #1 position in 16 of the 19 races of the season. Even though the season was dominated by the Mercedes car, the battle for the Drivers' Championship was a different story, with both Mercedes teammates Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg battling it out to the last race for the Drivers' Championship. The last race of the season, held at Abu Dhabi, commenced and Lewis went into the race first place, but his teammate Rosberg was still in contention as the race awarded double points. Although in the end, Lewis never needed the points, as unfortunately his teammate suffered an engine problem, knocking him out of the race. Nico Rosberg took this defeat graciously, acknowledging that Lewis's 11 wins to Nico's 5, he deserved to be the world champion. Lewis collected his 2nd world championship and reclaimed his title after a tough few years with McLaren, whilst also becoming the most successful British driver at the time, securing 33 victories overall. Lost for words, Lewis described the day as the best day of his life. That was just the start for Lewis Hamilton's career at Mercedes. The 2015 season began and Lewis didn't take his foot off the accelerator. Proving himself to be an unstoppable force through the season, Lewis dominated once again, reclaiming his title in just the 16th race of the 19 races of the season, pushing aside his teammate Nico from pole position on the opening lap to secure his 3rd championship, winning his 10th race of the year to put him in 3rd place in the all-time winners list, securing Lewis in the ranks of the F1's greatest drivers ever. Lewis's 3rd world championship also put him level with his boyhood hero, Ayrton Senna. Lewis's Mercedes remained the dominant car into the 2016 season, and it was without a doubt that he continued to dominate F1 with his natural speed behind the wheel. However, as the Mercedes drivers continued to battle it out at the front, Lewis became a victim of mechanical problems throughout the 2016 season, alongside some driving errors, which some have stated were due to his continued pursuit of celebrity lifestyle. Mercedes' dominance still prevailed as his teammate Nico brought home the Drivers' Championship by 5 points. The 2016 season didn't knock Lewis's confidence, instead made him hungry for more championships, constantly performing at the highest level with the superior speed in the once again dominating Mercedes car. Lewis secured 11 pole positions through the 2017 season, bringing his career total to 72, an F1 record. His relentless aggression during racing, paired with his composed and controlled attitude, led him to score points in all 20 races of the 2017 season, winning a total of 9 of them. The Mercedes team once again showed their superiority, but with Lewis's new teammate Valtteri Bottas replacing the retired reigning champion Nico Rosberg, Lewis was adamant to secure his #1 spot at Mercedes. Whilst Bottas showed his talent, winning 3 races in the season and finishing 3rd in the overall standings, Lewis came out as 4-time world champion. Going into the 2018 season was nothing short of exceptional once again from Lewis Hamilton. With 11 wins and 11 pole positions and a total of 17 podiums in just 21 races, led Mercedes to the 5th consecutive Constructors' Championship, along with Lewis's 5th Drivers' Championship. Teammate Bottas showed signs of a more struggling season, going the whole season without a win, finishing 5th amongst all drivers. However, this just solidified Lewis's role at Mercedes as team leader and the #1 driver for Mercedes. The season showed Lewis overpower the Ferrari champion Sebastian Vettel, winning the championship with 2 races to go and then going on to win the final 2 races as well. Throughout his success, Lewis maintained a positive team relationship with the Mercedes and his teammate Valtteri Bottas, while thanking his fans for their support through his career. At the age of 33, Lewis had secured 73 wins 83 poles and 134 podiums in just 229 F1 races. This left him well placed to pursue the legendary Michael Schumacher's all-time record of 7 championships. The 2019 season was Hamilton's 13th year as an F1 driver. It led to his 6th Drivers' Championship, securing his place as one of the F1's greatest of all time. The season led to the Mercedes' 6th consecutive Constructors' Championship, but not by showing the clear dominance they had been previously. Improving teams such as Red Bull and Ferrari looked to put a dent in the Mercedes' winning streak, but they did fall short to the well-organised team, with improving teammate Bottas securing 4 wins and totaling 15 with Lewis's 11. It was once enough to claim the title. Lewis showed once again why he was on the top scoring points in every race, and finishing on the podium in every race apart from just 4. Lewis not only cemented his status in the F1 world, but became an icon and influence for his millions of supporters around the world. Speaking publicly about environmental concerns and animal welfare, he recognised his position as a role model. He encouraged his young supporters to follow their dreams and never give up. Going into the 2020 season was nothing short of intense, cut short by the rising COVID-19 virus, and the shuffle of cramming 17 races into just 23 weekends led to an action-packed season. The non-stop action season saw new race winners and a horrific crash watching harsh driver Roman Grosjean burst into flames and miraculously walk out after being trapped for over 2 minutes. The season once again couldn't escape Lewis's remarkable skills in an F1 car, leading to his 7th World Championship and a 7th consecutive title for Mercedes. Lewis, 35 years old at the time, achieved a record-setting season with 11 wins, 10 poles and 14 podiums, securing him as the most successful driver ever. The end of the 2020 season put him at a grand total of 95 wins, 98 pole positions and a whopping 165 podium finishes. His teammate Bottas, who only secured 2 wins in the season, still secured 2nd place and was given praise by Lewis, stating Valtteri is amazing and he certainly doesn't get the credit he deserves. Securing his 7th title put him level with the record of all-time championships won by Schumacher, and Lewis confessed on his cool-down lap after winning his 7th title he had wept in his helmet and felt humbled to break records set by his heroes of the sport. Lewis also stated at the end of the season he still feels terrified before the start of a race, often using yoga and meditation to relax himself. But Lewis still continued to use his position as being someone at the very top of his sport to make a difference, by influencing various campaigns such as the Black Lives Matter campaign. Moving into the 2021 season, Lewis described it as the hardest season he has ever had. The season was not dominated by just one driver this time, but 2. The rising star from Red Bull, Max Verstappen, put Lewis to the test, with the pair dominating the 20 races throughout the season. Verstappen's aggressive driving style challenged that of Lewis's and saw him respond in a similar manner. The battle between the cars showed one of the most ferociously fought championships in the 2021 season. The British Grand Prix at Silverstone led to a high-speed collision between the pair, which ultimately left Verstappen crashing violently into a barrier, unfortunately leading him to require medical attention. Although Lewis received a time penalty after stewards laid the blame primarily on him, he still came home to win the race. The Italian Grand Prix was nothing short of an aggressive battle either, resulting in Verstappen's Red Bull to be sat resting on top of the Mercedes car. Lewis, who walked away from the collision with little to no injury, did not finish his first race in 63 races. With Red Bull's aspiring driver and the 7-time world champion battling out over the season, they exchanged the lead several times throughout, which led to both drivers entering the last race on equal points. Lewis convincingly took the lead in the final race, looking as if it was a sure 8th championship, becoming the most successful driver in history of F1. But an unfortunate crash, with just a few laps remaining, closed up the field behind the safety car. To preserve his lead and stay as the frontrunner, Lewis decided not to pit, whilst his rival Verstappen chose the opposite and changed for some faster, fresh tyres to make one last charge for the championship. The checkered flag was fast approaching, with the safety car still out, so the controversial decision was made to let the cars only between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen unlap themselves, as normally all cars would be allowed to do this. This allowed both cars for one last chance to put on a show and truly leave the championship decision to the last second. With Verstappen on fresh tyres, it was only a short time before the Red Bull car easily passed Lewis's Mercedes, and Verstappen claimed his first championship, denying Lewis his record-breaking 8th. The Mercedes team, who were outraged by the decision, took their complaint to the FIA in an attempt to appeal the decision, but the decision remained and Lewis remained second after 3 years of dominating at the top. Lewis remained dignified, congratulating his rival racer and their team, going on to say that they will come back next year and tried once again to reclaim the title. Lewis then went on to praise his team at Mercedes for winning the Constructors' title for the 8th time and encouraged them to continue in their efforts to reclaim both titles in the 2022 season. The conclusion of the 2021 season saw Lewis praised for his efforts in F1 and his remarkable achievements. He was then knighted as Sir Lewis Hamilton by Prince Charles. Unfortunately, the Mercedes car saw numerous issues coming into the 2022 season. With Lewis complaining about various different aspects of the car, the dominant Mercedes car of the past years seemed like a distant memory in the current season. 2022 was the first year that Lewis failed to secure a single win in his F1 career, leading him to fall a mere 6th in the Drivers' Championship, 2 positions behind his new younger teammate and new addition to the Mercedes team, George Russell, who replaced the long-standing partnership of Valtteri Bottas. The failing Mercedes car went through numerous changes through the season, with the attempt to bring it back to its winning form, and although it did begin to slowly improve, it wasn't enough to compete with the newly innovated cars from Red Bull and Ferrari that were absolutely dominating the circuits. With many believing that Lewis was going to race his last season after his new and upcoming teammate Russell showed signs of winning, and finishing 2 places above Lewis, he refused to give up. He prolonged his career, stating, "Something told me it's not forever. You're not done yet. You've got more to achieve on and off the track." With Lewis now 37 years old, many would argue that his days of winning the championships are over. And with the Mercedes car no longer showing the dominant speed it once did, there are other cars and drivers easily finishing above the 7-time world champion. But there is no argument when it comes to his achievements. Tying the world record of driver championships and breaking numerous records throughout his career, is there still time for Lewis to win his 8th world championship, solidifying him as the outright most successful driver in F1 history?